weekly check-in. How are you this morning, Mayor?
Doing well, Joe. How are you?
Oh, just a gorgeous day out there.
It is
Absolutely
beautiful.
spectacular. Can't ask for anything better this time of year, for sure.
Absolutely.
Is the city fully recovered from the big nor'easter?
Actually, we're still picking up limbs. In fact, they haven't got rallied into the parks yet. I was up at Pageant Field yesterday and saw a number of limbs and trees that were compromised. But, I mean, they took care of anything that was a danger, but the cleanup stuff will go on for a couple more weeks.
Sure, yeah. That's. I think it took a lot of folks by surprise, the amount of damage that was done, yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't 2 months from now.
Agreed.
Speaking of the library there, just early before we started talking, I understand the director, Megan, is announcing her retirement.
Yes, Megan's done a nice job. She's been in our system for quite a few years before she moved up into the director's spot. And, she informed me she wasn't sure of the date when she talked to me, but she said she was getting ready and prepared to do that. And the beauty is she's not rushing out the door, so there'll be a nice transition. She would never do that to library system. So she now works with the Board of Trustees to, as you know, the Board of Trustees of the libraries do the interviews and process and recommend a name or two to me. Mm-hmm. And then as the appointing authority, I appoint the director. But certainly want to thank Megan for her many years of dedication and service. She's done a very nice job, and I thought she's worked very well with the Board of Trustees, the Friends of the Library, collaborating on programs and new items that they provide at the library. So I'm certainly grateful for her service.
Yeah, especially this past year and a half, it was so evident how important the library is to folks to stay connected.
Indeed. It's not just the typical old, gigging a book out. It's they do have all kinds of resources they provide to people. So it's to a lot of people it's the lifeline,
Yes, yeah.
to the outside world, if you will.
How's the project up at North coming, the North Branch?
Coming along nicely, and I think because of the backlog again of supplies, I think they're waiting on shelving and things to come in because the majority of the construction is done. This construction you see from Hancock Street, but that is kind of superficial. All of the important stuff inside is done, so it's a matter of waiting on the shelving to get the books back in place.
Okay. Yeah, supply chain issues, just like everybody else is experiencing. Either that
it's crazy.
Worker shortages too.
Yeah.
Mayor, the City Council last night did approve $401,000 to oversee the First Brick Golf Course expenses. Is that a good thing?
Well, it is indeed a good thing. I heard somebody criticize, the mayor now wants to buy a golf course. No, the city owns the golf course. It was a deal struck 50 years ago, and it was a deal that was struck to preserve that area as open space. So, we took a hard look at it, did some analysis what the course needs, and of course, the club up there is known they're going to be going out of business. So, they haven't, understandably so, haven't spent much capital up there in a long time. So, we've got some things to do up there to improve it. I think over time, as we get it squared away, it will pretty much close to pay for itself. Certainly the golf aspect of it. We're looking at an overall master plan up there to include Forbes Hill Park and Playground there to improve that whole entire open space park area. So, but it's a great little gem. And I think that the number of golf rounds can increase based on a look on the schedule. Therefore, revenue should increase. Therefore, we should be getting close to what the expenses are. But when you think about a time when, some people are calling for there's too much building, we need more open space, it would have been irresponsible for us not to move forward with this because it is a beautiful, beautiful piece in the heart of our city that provides beautiful open space, whether you golf or not. Just driving by, or if you want to go up and use Forbes Hill Playground, it's a beautiful piece of property.
Popular sledding spot in the winter too, for sure.
That's right. That's in the old days. They used to have the ski T-rope there.
Oh yes.
Little ski program lessons and so forth that went on for a number of years as well.
Sure.
So it's had a great value to both passive and active recreation.
So will the current employees there remain on, or will it become a...
So that's the kind of stuff we're working through now, Joe.
Okay.
Obviously, we have to look at how our hiring goes, how the charter requires us to do things, what are the union implications on on staff that we have right now. So, I mean, my guess is we'll be able to work through those things, but I certainly don't want to commit to anything publicly until I know for sure.
I see. Okay, sure. And timeline-wise, the lease goes through the end of this year. Is that right?
Yeah. So we'll be moving immediately. We delayed it, as you know. The lease technically was up this past June, but it made no sense at all to disrupt in the middle of the season.
Right. Yeah.
So we decided to extend it to the end of the calendar year. Now, it'll probably take us a little time to get to, we have to deal with the clubhouse, for example, Joe. The clubhouse is an old facility that needs everything. Doesn't meet ADA, handicap accessibility requirements. It's an old sneaker that we're looking at now. Does it make sense to completely renovate that, or does it make sense to build a new clubhouse next to it and take it down?
I see.
Just like when we do with schools, sometimes it's more economical to put a new one up than it is to try to renovate something that old,
Yep.
So those are the kind of things we'll be looking at and working with the City Council going forward. And, of course, the Park and Recreation Board, which will have oversight of this property.
Yeah, and possibility for the public schools to utilize it, too?
Yeah, in fact, I believe they do anyway.
Okay.
I know over the years, they've been at Presidents, they've been here, they've been at Granite Lakes, but absolutely, and I think you'll see more expanded recreation programs for youth teaching golf up there as well.
Sure. I was just thinking this morning, Mayor, 2025 is not far away.
Let's not push it, but it isn't. No, it isn't.
Quincy 400 kind of got put on the back burner when the pandemic hit. Anything happening with that right now?
Well, certainly the public meetings have been put on the back burner, but the staff's still been working this, and we just had an internal meeting the other day about re-engaging the committees and subcommittees going forward. I think it's certainly time. There's still a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of ideas going forward that we'll continue to articulate and hopefully achieve and celebrate with. That's a big number, 400 as a settlement. So
certainly is, yeah.
Cool stuff.
Since last we talked, Mayor, of course, Frank McCauley has passed away.
Yes, indeed. Frank was he was a character, long-time public servant. He served in every municipal elected role there was, or is, I should say. Obviously, his key role was serving as mayor for 8 years, elected in 1981. He took over at a very, very challenging time. That was the implementation of Proposition 2.5, which meant major cuts to the city budgets all across the state. Prop 2.5 lowered the real estate bills, essentially reestablishing a new formula going forward on how local cities and towns could assess and bill on real estate. So that was a difficult time for him, for the city. And, they say, it seems that it's always be the right person at the right time. And he certainly was the right person at the right time with his financial banking background and his no-nonsense approach. He never had a hard time making a decision. He looked at things, did some analysis, and made the decision and moved on. And unfortunately, schools were closed and budgets were slashed, but that was what he had to do. At the local level, we have to balance our budget each and every year. So Frank did a hell of a job in that regard. I owe him a personal thank you, and I truly got my start in government. He appointed me to the Council on Aging Director back in 1988, which really began my journey. And who'd have thought then we're at land.
Maybe he did.
So maybe, who knows, but I'm certainly grateful for him giving me that opportunity. So certainly I express my deepest sympathy on behalf of the city to Frank's family, and I know I'll see the kids at the funeral services this morning. But he was a good man, never forgot his house neck roots.
That's
he had a good sense of humor, but when it came to running government, he was no-nonsense approach.
Yeah, and I just want to remind folks, if they'd like to donate in lieu of flowers, please to the Housnack Community Council Scholarship Fund, at his request and the family's request.
There you go. Once again, back to Housnack.
Absolutely.
Never forgot his roots. In fact, he planned. I'm told he planned out the funeral, and he arranged for his funeral to be back at Blessed Sacrament, where he was an altar boy many years ago.
I did not know that. Yeah.
He's really come back home. So.
And speaking of the library before, his wife Sandra, of course, served on the board for many years.
She did. She was on the Board of Trustees. Sandra, that was a labor of love for her.
Indeed.
And certainly appreciated her service as well.
Mayor, we'll also
together again.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be giving Also, thanks on Thursday to the city's veterans and the country's veterans.
Absolutely. I hope, I haven't looked at the long range. I hope the weather's cooperating with us.
Looks okay.
Looks okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that, as some people confuse Memorial Day and Veterans Day, Memorial Day is really remember those that have gone before us,
Right.
particularly those that died in service. Veterans Day is to really honor the veterans who are still with us. We remember those who have gone before us, of course, but it's the veterans of our city and our community that have served in various capacities. Some saw deployments and a lot of action. Some were there for the call but never had to be deployed. In either case, this country owes them an incredible debt as we continue to enjoy the freedoms that were given to us really by our founding fathers. But they were defended and protected by various veterans. You know, the sailors, soldiers, Marines, corpsmen, airmen, you name it. They've all stepped up, and we should be grateful to them.
Yeah, the parade steps off 10:30 behind Quincy High School, makes its way up Hancock Street to the Doughboy statue for wreath laying, and then to the World War II Memorial at Marymount Park for the ceremony at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, that spot's worked out well,
Yeah.
and it has great meaning, of course, having the World War II Memorial there. So we certainly encourage people to come and pay tribute to our veterans.
Always appreciate your time, Mayor. Have a wonderful day.
You also. Take care, Joe.
Bye-bye.